Hi there. Sharing a bit of wisdom, some ideas. Uniqueness. In this world, everybody is looking for his uniqueness. What is pushing a person to search, to seek his uniqueness? Does he look for it officially, like verbalizing it? Does he say, I'm looking for my uniqueness? No, he doesn't know that. He's looking for it unconsciously. It's a very important point. Each person on this planet is looking for his own uniqueness, his identity. Do you see this world, what's going on in the conflicts in general, between mankind all the time? All is originated from the missing uniqueness from each individual. There is no uniqueness in a person. Let's say, I was sitting one time with some people from different nationalities. They say, what do you think? We said all, sharing, say, what do you think? An American woman said, what do you think if each person lives like 20 miles distant away from his neighbor? Each person, each family has to live like, she said, don't you think like it would be better, everybody, because of the conflicts in the world? Another person says something else. I said, well, if you give him a planet, not 20 miles away from each other, if you put him on a planet like planet Jupiter, another planet from planet Mars, planet whatever, all of them, each one is living in his own planet. A person doesn't feel satisfied and he's gonna go and invade another one. Maybe you're gonna disagree. Well, everybody is seeking his uniqueness. Because of this uniqueness, there's misplaced uniqueness, mis-sought uniqueness, S-O-U-G-H-T. That's why there is this conflict. Kids, the first victims, I should say, the kids are victims of a parental identity. Parenthood. There is an identity of the parents. And then they become victim of an identity from the culture. Cultural identity. And then it's a region and then a national identity, and all these conflicts. All the time. You are from the same community, there is conflict. You're in the same religion, conflict. Different regions, forget it. Why is that? We have in this world, we have a uniqueness that is resulted by itself. As I said, everybody is looking for that. I'm going to say, perhaps share some ideas why. And there is a uniqueness that is sought by the person. To seek, sought, S-O-U-G-H-T, is sought by the person, everybody in the world without exception. I don't say without exception, they are noble people, different religions, different nationalities, I don't know. They know it, but they don't know perhaps, or maybe they don't express it the same way I am expressing it, but they know it. The uniqueness that is sought by the person from the beginning is looking for that. It will give him as a result, it creates competitors, adversaries all the time, a challenge. As you hear today, youngsters when they speak, actually they just repeat, it's just a rehearsal, recitation to repeat. I like challenge, they hear this. The whole world is a challenge. How can you seek a challenge? You're looking for a challenge. Is that true? That you look for a challenge? I'm looking for a challenge to prove myself. In my mind, I like to see him as a loser in order to prove myself. That's why I'm looking. Because I couldn't feel these talents, faculties, unless there is someone. So that my faculties, talents, they are dependent. So anything that is dependent on otherness, don't call it freedom. Anyway, so you hear the person is, as I said, this uniqueness, it will be resulted by disaster, creates all the time. So what you will be doing, your one eye is going to go to the competitors, adversaries. Another eye will develop something to beat, to dominate. So the eyes are divided. These are one of the signs of the Antichrist. He has one eye. Yeah. So it's always knocking down someone to prove myself. And look at that. This is on a small, very small level, individually speaking. Take these example, bullying, fighting for no reason, and keep going. You know, well, I have to always put someone down, devaluate someone. You know, this is uniqueness. This is dangerous uniqueness. Person can ruin himself if he is on the top of responsible over, like in a country, he can ruin his nation. Well, all the same anyway. It's not because he is different on the level of the government, because the government is the epitome of the majority of people, what they what they hide within themselves, and it is epitomized by itself. When they see that, they don't like it, but actually this is what they are hiding. They see the scars on their faces they don't want to see, but they are on the top of the government. I understand everybody is disagreeing with me, that's fine. They say, cannot be. Me, I disagree with this government. I'm not telling you at the time when you see the disaster, when you see the chaos. No, I'm talking about the ingredients when they are planted unconsciously by the majority of the population, the mass popular. Cannot be. There is a uniqueness that is resulted, that is giving a person harmony. And this is the true one. It is not prepared. This is the true uniqueness. Person should ignore it. He doesn't know it. Now, where is it coming from? Why everybody is looking for this uniqueness? You know, what is in the world, as a psychologist, through pages of history, philosophers accept if they know it, and they just give it little by little to people. They don't want to give it officially because they know people don't like reality. You know, people don't like, you see, when a psychologist who's going to speak to people about this, nobody's going to come back to him. Of course, this is humanity. Except these people or philosophers, they know it, but they give it little by little. You know, they inform people little by little with the occasion. Other than this, they are just kind of causing more chaos than it is. When they speak to people and they don't know what is people, what a human being is originated from. It is most of the time, especially in this recent history, it's a godless society, and godless, everything is godless, has to be, don't speak about God. You know, go to evolution and go to this and go to human, it's all detached. You know, they study anthropomorphism, that's linked, but theology, when you study theology, he is there, astaghfirullah, and I'm here, you understand? I don't know, that's how they study. As I said, if you don't know this, your uniqueness, you don't understand it, you will suffer in this world, and everybody is entitled to his opinion. Okay? So uniqueness is coming from the Creator. God, when he created the human being, he breathed into him from his soul, H, capital letter. He said, when I breathe into him from my soul, he carries God's soul, God's soul. Christians, they say this, you know, human being is God's image. Even Muslims, they say, خلق آدم على صورته. Some people, they say, I don't want to talk about this. But this is the truth. This is what it was meant. But there's a big question mark. You carry God's soul. That's why human being has this superiority, this uniqueness, because God is unique. Does that mean human being has to challenge God? It's a counterphobic reaction When we say counterphobic, pay attention to this, emphasize this word a lot, be careful. Counterphobic, it's not your identity. Giving an example, a concrete example, you have a dough. You put the yeast in the dough. The dough has a tendency to go up all the time. This is what is the soul of a human being if he's not vigilant. It goes, I am, pride, vanity. Do you understand? And he wants to become unique. That uniqueness, that's the oneness of God. It's God's image. You develop your uniqueness under the oneness of God. You develop your uniqueness under the oneness of God by counterphobic reaction. In other words, you contradict that identity. In one hadith Qudsi, it's one, God revealed this to the Prophet through Angel Gabriel. It's not a part of the Quran. He said about this particular identity. He said, pride is my cloak and greatness is my robe. And he who competes with me in respect of either one of them, I shall cast him in hell. He said, الكبرياء ردائي والعظمة إزاري فمن نازعني واحد منهما قذفته في النار. Do you understand? That's not the person you develop this. The oneness of God, while being exposed to the oneness of God, you develop your uniqueness. And how's that? You can go out with an exhibition, which is the case of a human being through history. You go and you claim it. And it's one. Unique. It's one. Look at this. The force is from in to out. It's centrifugal. In contrast, this identity, if you take it and you put it with humility, you pressure it down, it will go into multiplicity. Multiplicity of the results. The reason why you see in history what is developed. Human being is developing only 1% of this existence, not even one. Both science, all what you see today, it's like a big deal, you understand? It's a big deal. There are some people, you don't know them, I don't know them. If you don't know them, how can you speak about them? Well, they do exist, I believe in this, because God said it. These people, they have sciences, you cannot imagine what kind of sciences they have. They don't show off, they don't bring this to, if humanity is in need, they give. Is in need and they accept, they give. Like they show a drop from their ocean. Humanity refuse, they don't force people. They don't try. It's not this what you see, elogy, ontology, geology, all of these sciences, they are sciences, they have never been put and they cannot be into word, deverbalized or put into words. Now, as I said, the uniqueness that is developed while the person is not seeking this uniqueness. This is his true harmony. Now, we are going to touch something, perhaps it's a little deep. We have, during Moses' time, alayhi salam, he was with Pharaoh. Pharaoh was dragged by this uniqueness, it is in his genes, it's whatever, by uniqueness that caused him to ruin himself and his nation. Moses as well was looking for his uniqueness. Look at this person, what he did, look at the other person, what he did. This person can, all the time he was claiming, don't you see? He proclaimed, he said, am I not your supreme Lord? He said it like this. Am I not better than, don't you see these rivers that flow at my feet? Don't you see that I have the kingdom of Egypt? Egypt and had those rivers that flow at my feet. Am I not better than this despicable person? He's talking against Moses, always an adversary. Moses was asking for his uniqueness as well. From where did he ask, or from where did he want to develop or to acquire it? From who? Pharaoh was, whenever God described him, he described him with the pillars. He said, and Fir'aun, the one with the pillars. Where are these pillars? This is the palace where he was residing? No. He's counting on people because he governed people, humiliate people. All of these were pillars, their mentalities. He brainwashed them with his magicians. That's how there's pillars is always. Moses is contrast. He has a cane. What is the cane? Is symbol of humility. Okay, I said, this person, what he did, he created an adversary within his mind, in his subconscious, up to the point that he dreamed about a kid from the children of Israel, the community that he hated and he treated inhumanly, that he will be the cause of his perdition. His kingdom will collapse through the hands of this baby. That was the future Moses, alayhi salam. He dreamt about him. Well, before dreaming about him, he had that idea unconsciously that there is an adversary. He's going to challenge my kingdom. You know what I'm saying? He had this in his mind to the point that had a dream, and the dream God gave him what he was looking for, actually. And then, before, it was an impulse, psychic impulse that was displayed as a dream. And then the true Moses came through the waves of the river, driven by the waves of the river to his kingdom. The story, I know it's not my topic. But when he grew up, he asked God, he said, my God, give me an extolment, some way I can praise you with. Sabbah. I want to approach you by something unique. He said like this. God told him, oh Moses, say there is no God except God. And then Moses responded, he said, my God, everybody says that. I'm looking for something unique. Now, pay attention, be careful. Prophets, they don't ask like this, or because he found it little, small. He found the La ilaha illallah, or there's no God except God, he found it small. No, be careful. God inspired, God provoked these kind of things to ask for humanity to understand. People understand, they have different point of view. He said, my God, I'm looking for something unique, not something to be shared with people, because everybody says it. Now he said, oh Moses, if the 7 heavens and the 7 earths were put in one balance, and La ilaha illallah was put in one balance, La ilaha illallah, there is no God except God, will overweigh the others. I'm going to say, what is this? On the one hand, he told him, La ilaha illallah is one word, but uniqueness will be resulted different than others. Be careful. When you are sincere with the oneness of God, you will develop your uniqueness that is not shareable with other people, cannot be shared. Don't worry. The second thing is, if he said that God told him directly about 7 heavens and 7 earths, you understand what is this fluctuation? This is in your mind. Human being is subject with all his ideas, as we shall see it, in few seconds, shortly. What is discovered in the Milky Way? Milky Way is the solar system. Everything is here stagnant, as you can see it. And then he is subject. That's it. But the uniqueness, that is resulted, that will put you above the Milky Way. You will go so far up to, does he reside, Moses? He resides on the 6th heaven. I think 5 or the 5th or 6th. This is where he resides. Does that mean God is giving you hints? Don't think this is history, this is something, Today you cannot escape. You live in a system that you are characterized by. You like it or you don't like it, or even if you try to escape such a system, you only develop its hyper efficiency against you. Financially, politically, whatever. You know, the world is chaotic. You're sharing this on occasion. Thank God that's about YouTube, something to share. Someone agree, someone disagree. Well, it's on the table. So, as I said, he said, my God, then he realized you can develop your uniqueness. It doesn't mean today, because people all think alike, all never paid attention to this uniqueness, even in religion. You know, religion is existing religion, but not to challenge God and go to the state of humility. This is, you rarely find it. You rarely find it. You know, so you develop this as I say, the counterphobic to that thing of like pride, vanity that is giving you. That's not an identity. That's not a uniqueness, by the way. You find yourself is always one eye going to your neighbor because he has a better car than you, he has a better house than you, and then you are challenging. You don't develop this. You are developing your uniqueness according to your colleagues. According to this, you don't know your uniqueness. It's not in the material world. It's not in the acquired. It's in the innate. The innate selene that you were born with, which is your soul. And the soul is guided by your brain, your mind. Now, leaving this aside, putting this aside, why do we need to understand God's identity? We say التوحيد أو علم الكلام. Why do we need to understand that? You know, the modern man, he tells you, well, I understand the company, or I understand I'm an engineer, or I understand, and that's about it. Why do I have to? Be careful. You are understanding because you're eternity. That is your true identity. Otherwise, you become just a product, a part of the consumer-producer system. And a part of the consumer-producer system, what am I doing? I'm consumer. And a consumer, when I reach from the B to the D. You know, the B is the birth and the D is the death. When I reach, then I found myself, I consumed my age. We have this world that we call it physical world. And we have a metaphysical world. And then we have another world, the world of God's names. This word is Alim al-Mulk. The word of the metaphysical world, you know, we call it Alim al-Malakut. The Arabs, when they became westernized, or Latinized, I should say, the Arabs, they kept the word in English, in Latin, metaphysical, metaphysikia. No. Metaphysikia, that's a Latin word. You know, Alim al-Malakut, that means is the world of the angels and the jinn. Yet, a human being has a share there because it's not the word of stagnation. The word is not dormant, is not quiescent. The word is moving. That's what's Alim al-Malakut. And we're going to explain what his role, a human being. And then we have Alim al-Jabarut, which is God's names. Now, why do you need to mention this? You are working in this world. You are crossing distances. You are here. You know what I'm saying? This world seems as it is stagnant. Which is true, it is stagnant, it is dormant, you see it with the naked eye. During the Newton era, when we say Newton, not only him, I'm talking about the physicists from that time, all the way coming to this time, before the recent discovery. What did they say about the atom? What did they say about matter? They say it is this rock is, that's it, stagnant, which is dormant, quiescent, doesn't move, that's it. The atom is the last, not divided, cannot be divided element, the last one of the matter, which is indivisible. Element indivisible in the matter. This is what they say Newtonian era. The recent history in quantum mechanics, quantum physics, in a very sophisticated, what did they find? They found the atom is itself divided into other particles more deeper, and they are not stagnant, they move. They move sometimes straight, sometimes they make a curve. And where do they stop? They don't even know where their final destination. This rock that you see it here in front of you is moving. Peu importe, I'm sorry, just let it aside. This world that is like this, if you are performing an action, there is an action, physical action, there is a psychic action. If you don't have a link with the Creator, with Alim al-Jabarut, God's names, your world, it becomes stagnant here after you leave this world, which is the enter space, and then that's it. Why we interfere, we attribute, and we have to be receptive to the oneness of God, to the God's names. You know, the word is all God's names, transcendence, as if you say there is a transmitter and there is a receptor. Here it's not like that. Lordship, worship. Everything in the world, in the galaxies, and everything is only God's names. You as a human being, if you are receptive to absorb that with your humility, you will develop a diversity. As I said about Moses, peace be upon him. That oneness of God is itself giving you the apple that you are eating by the name or in the name of God. It will not remain apple. It will change the taste, the color, and in multiplicity. The color doesn't remain color. Everything is diverse. So, as I said, in God's names. Now, I said there is only God's transcendence, you know, all the names, 99 names. Now, something it's kind of like, when we say this, the role of a human being is to be exposed with worship, or during his time, you know, worship. When he leaves this world, the age, the time that he will find the time does not exist, it doesn't have existence, and space doesn't have existence. He will find the time only the minutes or seconds that he was with his Creator. He was exposed to the Creator. Of course, could 1 minute equal a decade? Could the decade equal, a century? Could a century equal a millennium? It all depends on the person's sincerity. There's no age. He lives, he will feel. The problem is not death, it's an unconscious. No, he will feel death. Now, from the gods, like we say, the Jabarut, which is God's names, we have two. We have what we call the likeness, and we have unlikeness. Resemblance and likeness. At-tashbih at-tanzih. When you say God is, he can hear. The God is a listener. God is the outer, the inner. Why all these names, we understand them? It's because we share something with the Creator. We share with Him. We are God's soul. But reject the likeness and deal with unlikeness. At-tanzih, I don't know how. God doesn't, you listen, you are characterized by the time. You listen now. You listen to certain distance. So you're characterized by time, space, and the vibration that comes to your ear, whatever. So that's how you hear. God forbid. God doesn't hear like that. God hears the eternity and sempiternity. You know, He heard you before the existence. He heard you in your mother's womb. He heard you when you are a drop of sperm. He hears you when you are in a grave. He hears you when you are in paradise, in a day of judgment. Do you understand? That means you reject the likeness and you go to unlikeness. This is how you diversify your identity, which is your psychic world. I know it's a little kind of heavy. Well, last words. We are performing actions here. You know, psychic actions, physical actions. God asks you to make an effort. Avoid to claim. Avoid to claim it. Reject it. So you make an effort to reject because you are transferring it to your metaphysical world. The physical world, you are transferring it. You are transferring it to your metaphysical world. This is your uniqueness. Someone is going to say, what about if I don't do anything? Listen, whether believer, non-believer, good believer, not, whatever, anybody, everybody when he goes to the interspace is al-barzakh. God will show you the beauty of the universe. You will see it, vision the transcendence of God's names on the universe, the vastness, the immensity of the universe while you are in your grave. You will see it. Now, therefore, so what's no? The one who was working for this with submission, he will admire, the contemplation and the admiration, he has a share, he's a shareholder. The other one, he navigates with his mind. The other one, no, he will see it. He is in a sort of aquarium. Is it made of water, glass, whatever? No, an aquarium, it's his belief. He incarcerated his mind in a previous world, in a terrestrial world. That was his uniqueness. Then, what does he see? You develop your emotions while devoting yourself to a creature like you. The emotion gets disintegrated with the audience that you left behind. It's inside your brain, but you see it disintegrating. For the sake of the audience, for the sake of the institution, for the sake of also with the sake of myself, ego admiring the self. The same thing, everything is disintegrated, it's secretion. In the mind, in the grave, he will see it that way. The other one, he will navigate with these dimensions. How it's going to be, there are other things a little deep, we don't want to go there. But listen, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for sharing. May God bless you. May God make your nights as shiny as your days. And see you soon.